everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and I'm currently reading the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. So today I am kicking off a new little challenge type thing for myself, and the idea is I want to try to read every day for a month. Now today is the 13th of March or something like that, and I don't feel like waiting till the beginning of the next month to start this, so I'm just going to start today. It is a Monday. It's actually, it is the 13th, I was right. So it's Monday the 13th of March, and I'm going to read for 30 days and trying to read every day. Now the reason that I want to do this is mostly just curiosity. I want to see if I were to read every day, how many books could I read in a 30-day span? Usually I don't read every day. I read yesterday and today, but before that I had almost a week where I didn't read. So I'm really curious, if I read every day, can I read significantly more books? Probably yes, but then also a lot of days I'm busy, so it might just be reading a couple pages that day. So for this challenge, I have set myself just 2 rules. The first rule is that I have to read at least 10 pages every day, and the second rule is that they need to be physical books. The reason for this is that a lot of the times I'll put on my audiobook when I'm working out or when I'm driving, but then I find I wasn't paying super close attention, so I missed some things. So I want the reading that I'm doing for this month to all be active, participating reading, where I'm just focusing on the books. So for that reason, I just want to count physical books because I find that I read them more actively, more engaged. I would also count digital ebooks, but I pretty much never read those, so it's unlikely to come up. So we're going to start the challenge today, which I have actually already read today, so we're off to a great start. But let's go ahead and jump into the next 30 days, and I will meet up with you at the end to talk about what I learned, how I felt, and how many books I read. Alright, it is day 2 of me attempting to read every day for 30 days. So last night I was able to finish up the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and I definitely really enjoyed the end of the book a lot more than the first half. It really picked up and you got to see the threads of the story kind of come together, and the way they did was really satisfying and I really enjoyed that. But I'll talk more about that in this month's wrap up. But I am just about to make some food and I'm going to start a new book. I've got Vita Nostra here. I don't really know what it's about other than it's dark academia, so yeah, I'm gonna start reading that and have some lunch. Hello. So it is now day 8 of my trying to read every day for 30 days challenge, and up till now I have been reading Vita Nostra, but I finished it last night. And I won't go too in depth into my thoughts because I'm probably going to do a monthly reading wrap up, but I actually think this book really benefited from being read more slowly, because there were a few days where it kind of got to the evening and I was oh, I haven't read, so I just read the minimum that I set for myself, which was 10 pages. So I think 3 or 4 days I did just the 10 pages, and I kind of feel this book is almost better consumed a little bit more slowly. It's kind of weird in a way, but you can tell the authors are trying to make you think a little bit more in some spots. So yeah, I think it probably is good to read this one a little bit more slowly. But anyway, I finished that now. I finished it last night. So today I'm going to go ahead and start The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, because I have been putting this off for far too long, and even though I have a large stack of library books that I need to get through before they are due back, but yeah, I really want to read this now, so I'm just going to go ahead and start it, and if I need to place my library books on hold again because they expire, then I'll just do that. I can always read them later. But yeah, I'm gonna have some food and I'm gonna get started on this book. Good morning, everyone. So I'm not totally sure which day exactly of my 30-day challenge I'm on right now. I think we are probably about halfway through, and I just thought I would update because I finished Season of Storms last night. So I've now finished 2 books in this little challenge, and if we're about halfway, then that's about 15 days. So I wouldn't say that's more than usual for me to read. It really depends what kind of reading mood I'm in. Sometimes I can read a book in 2 days, and sometimes it takes me a lot longer because I just I'm not picking it up. So I don't know that I necessarily read any more than usual, but I would say it does help to read a little bit every day, because it helps me keep the context of the book. If I put a book down and then I don't pick it back up for like a week or so, sometimes I lose like a little bit of the context, or I start to feel like less inclined to pick it up because I'm like, oh, I don't really remember where I was. So yeah, it does sort of help in that regard, like where I kind of like stay more connected with what's happening in the book. But yeah, so 2 books down, and let's see how far we can get. All right, we are at day 16 of my reading challenge, and things are still going well. I'm still keeping up. I am reading Hunger of the Gods at the moment. I am about 150 pages in, and this is definitely such a good book. I don't know why I put off getting started on it for so long, but yeah, it's really like picked up where the first one left off, and it's kind of like escalating things from there. It's definitely more of like a plot-driven book. Like if you're a person who's like reads mostly for like the characters, maybe it's not for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, the characters are good and they are like well written, but yeah, it's definitely like more about the plot. We get a lot of different POVs in this book, which I don't remember if there were like a lot of different ones in the first one. I thought it was just like the main 3 characters, but we're also getting some POVs from different like sides of this like struggle that's going on, which is interesting because it kind of gives like different perspectives. So like we've got Elvar, who's one of the 3 main characters we had in the first book, and she is like raising the wolf god. But then we've got Bjorn, who was the one who was hanging out with her and her friends in the first book, but it was actually a traitor because he was a dragonborn, I think. So we have both of their perspectives, which is interesting because they're not like on the same side anymore. And it's interesting because Elvar is kind of like, she's supposed to be like one of the main characters, so you'd think she's like one of the good guys, but then it's a bit of like a contrast because she's like taking slaves and stuff, which is obviously not good. And then Bjorn and his people are like supposed to be like the bad guys. They raised the dragon god who's gonna like cause a ruckus and ruin everyone's day, but then they're like, okay, we don't want anybody to be slaves. Like they want themselves to obviously be like the top of the food pyramid or the food chain, whatever you want to call it, but they don't want to make everybody else slaves, just with themselves at the top. Like, no, they're not gonna be equals, but they're not gonna be slaves. So it's like, I don't know, that kind of makes them seem like the better people. So yeah, we will see where this is going. I kind of feel like there might be kind of like a redemption arc for Elvar, because in like towards the end of the last book, she was kind of like hanging out a bit more with like their thralls and being like, oh, they're kind of good people. I don't know. It's like seemed like maybe she was having some doubts, but now in this book, she like takes this god as her thrall, and she's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit. So I don't know. I'm hoping maybe we'll get some redemption there, because it's kind of, you can't really like a character who's like taking people as their thrall, obviously. So yeah, we shall see where this is going. I am really into it. I should be going and doing other things, but I just want to keep reading it. So yeah, I will give you another update later. Hello, so we are on day 18 now, and I haven't actually done any reading yet today, but this just arrived from Indigo, and I do know what it is, but I'm gonna go ahead and open it for you on camera so that we can share the joy of receiving a new book together. So, sorry, you can't really see. I should have framed this wider. All right. Okay, so it is The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. So I read the first 3 books in the Austin Ard, Last King of Austin Ard series last year, and I was really disappointed to discover that it was not finished and that I have to wait until November of this year for the last book in that series. So recently I've been kind of craving some of that world, so yeah, I'm pretty sure this is kind of like set before that series. So yeah, I decided to pick this up. I also got the like shorter book from the library to read, so yeah, I'm really excited to read this. However, this cover, can we talk about it? This is not it. Like, it's kind of, well, first of all, the typography, girl, why? It's not good. I don't like it. And also, like, this image of the sword, it's like, I don't know if you can tell, but like, I don't think you can, but like, it's kind of like low res, like it looks kind of blurry. So I'm not super into that. One of the things I do want to actually try is like bookbinding. So what I'm thinking is I can probably remove the cover from this thing, take the text block, and then try to like rebind it in something that I think is more appealing and custom. I'd like to try and make it into like a hardback, because I don't know if like it's not like a thing, but I can never find Tad Williams books like in hardback other than the new one, like the newest one, and the newest one of the Austin Ard series, Into the Narrow Dark. That one you can find in hardback, and then like the new one, the like short one I was talking about. But most of his books, like there's like one edition and they're like mass market paperback or whatever. And I don't necessarily think like hardbacks are like the be all end all and that every book should be a hardback, but like isn't there usually like a hardback edition? Like maybe it's just like not that popular. Like I kind of thought that he was pretty popular, so that there might be other editions, but maybe not. But yeah, I'm excited to read this. Not excited about the cover. I really want to change it. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to see that on this channel, and if I do end up doing it, this is probably going to be the first book that goes under the knife. Or maybe I should practice on like a used book first. I do have another one of his books that I got from like a local like charity shop that I also don't really like the cover on. It's not as bad as this, because at least it's not like low res on like the images, but I haven't read it yet. But yeah, I kind of feel like I should read it first so that I know like more about like the content of the story before I try to like design a new cover for it. So yeah, that's probably something I should do. So this is probably higher up on my list than that book, because it's actually like, I think it's like the third or fourth in a series, and I haven't read the first parts of the series. I just bought it because I was like, oh, I like that author, and it was cheap because it's like at the Value Village. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna get around to reading that, when I eventually find the first couple books at the charity shop, I guess. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this. I'm not reading it today because I'm reading Hunger of the Gods still, but I will probably have it on my TBR next month, so that would be for May. But I might start this month. I'm not very strict with my TBR. If something comes in and it's new and it's exciting, then it's fair game. Okay, I think we're on about week 3, around the end of week 3 of my challenge. I kind of lost track of what day number it actually is, but I just finished Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, and chef's kiss. This book is like such a good sequel to the first book. Like, if you have been thinking about reading this series and you haven't done it yet, or like for some reason you're like, no, maybe I won't, you should read it. You definitely should read it. My cat is shoving my arm, so if the camera suddenly jostles, it's because Gemma wants to be involved. But anyway, yeah, Hunger of the Gods leaves off in kind of like for, oh my god, Gemma, for like parts of it, you think things are going well, like, oh my god, we're gonna be able to wrap this stuff up, everything is great, and at the end it's like, oh shit, a whole bunch of things go wrong. It sets it up perfectly for the next book. I won't go like too crazy into depth, but yeah, I was like 100 pages from the end, like googling when does the 3rd book come out, because I need it now. It doesn't even have like a scheduled release date though. Like I saw like some sites saying like maybe this year, so we shall see. But if it gets announced, Gemma, oh my goodness, I'm going to probably have to pre-order that because I need to know. So I would like to do some more reading tonight because I'm procrastinating doing homework. My brain just is not working today, so I'm just gonna read and chill and do homework tomorrow instead. So I have 2 books to choose from. The first one is Black Wolves by Kate Elliott. I have not read anything by this author before. I was just hoping to read some more female authors, which is why I picked it up. And then the second one that I have is Brothers of the Wind by Tad Williams. Or I could read the Wheel of Time book that I'm partway through, but these 2 are both library books, so I should probably prioritize them because I need to return them at some point. So, this one's quite a bit shorter, but his books tend to be typeset quite small, so it might end up being more like words. Yeah, the type in this book is definitely larger. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna go for this one, try something new, and yeah, I'm gonna go, I think make a bowl of popcorn and do some reading. Oh, there's Gemma. Hi, cutie. Gemma, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hello, friends. So, I finished Hunger of the Gods a couple days ago, and now I'm working on Black Wolves by Kate Elliott. I am about, let's see, I'm at page 189, and so far I'm liking it, but I kind of, like, the first 50 pages were, like, following kind of like a different character, and then we had, like, a time skip, and now we're following one of the characters who is younger than, I mean, it was, like, a 40-year time skip or something, and I have to say, I kind of was enjoying, like, what was happening before the time skip more, and it seems like so many, like, interesting things, like, happened during the time that we skipped, so I kind of I don't know, I kind of feel like I might have liked to see some of those things, but we shall see where the story is heading. I still have like 400 or so pages to go, so there's still a lot of opportunity for me to become invested in these post-time skip characters. But another package arrived. They sent them separately because why not? I mean, the book I got the other day was part of the same order, but it came separately. So I actually know what this is, so I'm gonna open it up and then I'm gonna show you. All right, here is the book that I got. It is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And I have to say, the cover, when I was looking at it on the internet, I disliked it, but in person, I actually like it a lot more because, I don't know, it just like looks nice and the text is like reflective. But also on the inside, the end pages are like really beautiful. So I have never read a Brandon Sanderson book. This is my first one. Actually, I own Way of Kings, but I haven't read it. So I've decided I'm gonna make this the first one I read, and I'm probably gonna do like a little reading vlog showing you my experience and letting you know what I think of my very first Brandon Sanderson, because I know so many people in the fantasy booktube community just absolutely love him, and I don't know what the hype is about because I haven't read anything yet. So yeah, I'm excited to read my first Brandon Sanderson and finally figure out what the hype is about. Alright, I've completed my 30 days of reading, and I thought I would just pop back in, do a little bit of a wrap up, talk about the experience. So one thing I thought would be interesting is to compare kind of like my reading stats from this time period this year to this time period last year. I've been tracking how many pages I've been reading every day since January of 2022, I believe. So I have some stats that we can compare. So in the same time period, the same days last year, I read about 1,600 pages. And this year, I managed to read about double. We are at 3,171 pages. So we can clearly see that by reading every day, I did manage to read like a lot more. But it's also like, I guess it kind of depends also like on like the reading mood that I'm in. Like I obviously don't remember at this time last year if I was like in a bit of like a reading slump or if I was like super interested, but I think you could definitely see that by like trying to read a little bit every day, I was able to like maintain more of like my momentum for reading. One thing that is interesting is I actually read from the same number of books that I read in this period last year. So I read from 7 books this year and also 7 books last year. However, a lot of those 7 books last year I had either already started beforehand, so they were partially completed and I just like finished them off, or I did not complete them. But this year, out of the 7 books, I finished 6 of them, and then the 7th I did not finish yet. And the 6th that I finished, I also started in this time period, so I read 6 books in 30 days, which that's pretty good for me, actually. I don't know if I mentioned all of the books that I read, but I read 5th Season, Vita Nostra, Hunger of the Gods, Season of the Storms, Black Wolves, Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I started but did not finish Brothers of the Wind by Tad Williams. So some notes on like the overall experience. It definitely feels good to have actually like read so much. Like to have read 6 books in 30 days is like, that's a lot for me, and that definitely feels like an accomplishment. And there were definitely some days that I didn't really like feel like reading, and it would get to like 11 o'clock and I'd be like, oh, I just gotta read like these 10 pages before I can go to sleep. But I think doing that actually like kept me more invested in the books. Like if I were to go a few days without reading, I might feel less inclined to go back to that book because I'll like kind of like forgotten some like the details that were happening when I left off. But by like having to read like a little bit of it every day, it definitely like kept me moving forward in the book and kept it fresh in my mind, kept me invested in like the characters and the plot, which I really appreciated. So I think because of that, it could be like a good way to stop like reading slumps, because if you're reading like a little bit every day, like you're more likely, I think, to like become like really invested in like the story and to want to read more. Like there were a lot of days where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like read the 10 pages really quick, and then I would be like, oh, and now I'm at like 100 pages or something because the book just managed to just like suck me in. So I think that could be like potentially a good way to avoid reading slumps. So sometimes you just don't want to read, and like I don't know, I don't want to like, I think it can be kind of like a double-edged sword, because if you don't want to read and then you read, you could either have a good time and be more invested in the story, or you might just like feel kind of like I have to force myself to read, and then you kind of make a negative association. I'm not going to continue forcing myself to read every day. Like it's been a couple of days since the end of the 30 days and I have not continued to read every day, although that has definitely like slowed down my reading progress. So it's probably like a decent idea for me to like read every day so that I have books to talk about with you. But in general, yeah, I don't think it's necessary, obviously. I think I was kind of partly like lucky during this challenge because I like just kept picking up like so many good books, so I was invested in all the books, so I wanted to read every day. It's a bit of like a reading high as opposed to like a reading slump, I guess. I think it could be like a good habit for when I have like a lot of books that I need to get through, which actually I kind of do have a lot of books to get through. I have all 3 of these just came in from the library, and I don't know, there's just so many good books that I want to read and so little time to do it in. So yeah, reading every day is definitely probably a good way to get through some of those books. Another thing that I think it was good for was like as like a bedtime like habit or routine. There's a lot of times the days where I would just be reading the 10 pages, I would be reading them like before bed, as I mentioned, because I just like I put it off or whatever, and now I have to do it. But the good thing about that is it meant that I was reading right before bed and not playing on my phone. And as I'm sure we all know, playing on your phone is a good way to realize that suddenly hours have gone by when you just meant to scroll for like 2 minutes and then go to sleep. So reading is definitely a more conducive to resting than scrolling on my phone. So I think it was definitely really good for that. So I think those are all of the comments that I have on the experience. I definitely recommend like giving it a try if you're interested, or if you have like a lot of books you want to get through, or you want to establish a reading habit. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.